ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome into a special edition of the Bullpen with myself, Ryan McDonald, and Sean Mapes as always. I believe Joe George will join us along the way, but right now we're live out at the Kemah Boardwalk in, Kemah, an area that I grew up pretty near. Sean, this is your first trip out to the Kemah
Yeah,
Boardwalk.
yeah, first
We
time.
can share your initial observations throughout the way, but we got a lot to talk about. The Astros season, it's weird. It's October 5th and the Astros season's over.
Yes.
We haven't dealt with this in a long time, but of course we'll also get into Texans, Bills, a lot of NFL and college football news going on that we got to discuss, and of course Mount Rushmore at 1:30, Mount Rushmore plus
Plus
one
one,
at 1:30,
please.
and I believe the return of the hype train, which we haven't done,
Woo-hoo.
I think, in about a month. So that'll be fun. But right now, look, again, we're at the Kemah Boardwalk. If you want to come and join us, we're out on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp here on the Kemah Boardwalk. We're here for Oktoberfest. There is live music going on, lots of beer, lots of great food, both today and tomorrow. So make sure you come out and check out Oktoberfest out on the Kemah Boardwalk. It's a great time. But right now, let's start off the show, Sean, talking about the Houston Astros, whose season ended
Not a great
after
time.
that was not my reaction to when the Astros got swept by the Detroit Tigers and the Astros' former manager, A.J. Hinch, the ghost of Astros past, coming back to kill the Astros. The guy that started the dynasty killed the dynasty. Maybe you could argue. What we'll see. Time will tell. And that leads us to our first question. Sean, is the Astros window shut? How are you feeling going into an offseason earlier than any time we've seen since 2016?
Yes, the last time the Astros weren't playing baseball deep into October, I was 20 years old.
You weren't working here yet.
I was
I wasn't either.
sophomore or junior in college.
Hook 'em.
But yeah, the Astros title window. I think now a couple days removed. I wouldn't say it's shut, but I think their days as a favorite or the days of winning 105 regular season games like they were in 2017, 18, 19. Like I think we can pretty much close the door on them being a juggernaut. I still think that just with the nature of the playoffs, that with the baseball playoffs, like if you get in, you at least have a chance. And this is a team that, we'll see how much postseason proven performers they have or how many they have after this offseason. They might be losing a couple, but I think with guys like Jordan, Altuve, long term going forward, I think that you can say that it's still open for 2025.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. You're going to lose a couple of guys off this roster, and depending on how you decide to attack the reload, I guess, if you will, not a rebuild, but a reload, maybe you lose a couple more, but that would only be to bring other pieces in. Yeah, like you said, so with Jordan, with Fromber, with a lot of these guys still under team control for a couple more years, Tucker's still got another year of team control as well. I don't think their window necessarily, quote unquote, is shut. But like you said, I agree with you. The days of winning 100 plus, which no team in baseball won 100 plus this year, so you can say that about every team in baseball this year. But I think the days of, well, okay, what were people saying on Twitter? And I was a victim of living in the moment as well for this. But when the Astros clinched the AL West, I guess with 4 games left to go in the season, the phrase "the Astros are inevitable," led by Ben Verlander, brother of Justin Verlander, started being thrown about on Twitter like right away. Almost like we were in a time warp of the same Astros teams that actually were inevitable. This team was a team that won 90 games last year, that kind of went down to the wire to get into the playoffs last year. Team that obviously went down to about 4 games left in the season to get in this year and won 88 games. Could have won 89, but obviously the last game of the season got canceled because of rain in Cleveland. I don't see a team as going from 90 wins to 88 wins with possibly Fromber leaving, not Fromber, Alex Bregman leaving, Yusei Kikuchi leaving. It's tough to say that the Astros, the inevitable Astros, are here next year or beyond, unless they make some major moves in free agency and maybe in the trade market to reload this team. But I see those days as being over, but I still think this team is capable in a 16 playoff world of getting to the postseason and definitely not being the favorite to make a run, but being capable of making a run.
Yeah, I mean, you can even look at teams that the Astros have played in past World Series and look at them and say, could they be a 2019 Nationals kind of team? Could they be a 2021 Braves kind of team? Who that Braves team also won. I forgot if it was in the 80s or if it was mid or high 80s, but they definitely did
I
not
don't think
win
the
90
Nationals
games.
or Braves were high win. I don't think those
No.
teams were past 95 wins for sure.
Even the Phillies that they played in 2022.
All of those teams were teams that caught fire in the second half and kind of and went on improbable runs.
I think the Astros window for being inevitable is probably closed. I think that they're not just auto bid into the ALCS anymore. I think we could tone down the expectations going into next year and going forward for that. But I still think that this is a team that should be a force in the AL West. And if you're going to make the playoffs every year, or if I think you're going to make the playoffs, you still have a shot to win the title, especially with I know we didn't love how Fromber pitched in Game 1. Who could?
Or last postseason either.
Yeah.
He wasn't good last year either.
But you still have a rotation that's going to be headlined by Fromber, Hunter Brown. If they bring back Kikuchi, they're probably going to have to either they have to bring back Kikuchi or add another dependable starter, because I'm not banking on they get Lance McCullers and Luis Garcia back.
No. We do this storyline every offseason. We don't need any starting pitchers. We're 6-7 deep. Lance McCullers is back. Let's do the same.
Yeah.
Let's do the same preseason conversation we do every February, March right now. Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers are coming back. We're 7 deep. We don't need to have starting pitchers.
If you think you have too many as a
shout out to the Foghorn.
Yeah. Is that something? Is that
was like that was a ship. I think it was just letting people know of its presence.
A Kima thing that
I
was missing out on. But yeah, I think where were we? What were we talking about?
Talking about the quality and depth of the starting rotation, and whether or not they need to add a pitcher, because they don't. Because
they
obviously,
do. They do.
Obviously, Lance is coming back.
They do.
Hashtag Cy Young, and Luis Garcia is coming back, and he's going to be the runner-up to the Cy Young.
The last 2 years, you can list out all the guys that the Astros are paying to be starting pitchers. And yes, that number does equal 7 or 8. But every year, one guy doesn't pitch. One guy gets hurt. One guy has his injury. He needs a setback. And instead of
feels like you're talking about Lance
July,
with all of these.
It's August. Well, he has been guilty of all these. But I mean, Christian Javier's not pitching next year. I don't care what they say. Or you can't depend on him as hang your hat.
Oh my God,
hang your hat on him pitching, because he's not. Just like we hung our hat on Luis Garcia coming. I'm not even going to say Lance McCullers on Luis Garcia coming back. He didn't come back this year at all. You need to make it to win these estimated return times for these guys, and to do that, you're going to need pitching, and then you need these guys to actually come back when they say they're going to come back.
So on the Gallant and George show, you guys sometimes do. It doesn't feel like there's a scheduled time for this. It's just whenever the news
if necessary.
Yeah, you guys do a segment called "Are You Down with Dana Brown?"
Yeah,
and he had a quote that came out much like what you were talking about just now. It was like, yeah, Jose Urquidy and Luis Garcia, they're going to be Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy, they're going to be back in July. We're on radio, so I can't say what I was going to say.
A lot of kids
but I don't believe you.
Yeah.
There's a animal involved in that.
Bull shrimp.
Yeah.
That's
bull shrimp. Bulbous shrimp. I don't believe you. There we go. Feeding it all here because we're at the Kima Boardwalk on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp. Come out and join us for Oktoberfest here till 6. But Bubba Gump Shrimp, I don't believe you, Dana Brown. There's no way in hell that Jose Urquidy and Christian Javier, coming off season-ending surgeries in June?
Yeah.
Are going to be back in July. That's at least a 14-month timeline. There's no way they're even possible for return before the first week of September.
I was going to say September rehab starts.
At best, we're talking first week of September.
Yeah.
So I'm completely with you. If it's my pocketbook and I'm making the decisions here, I'm definitely bringing back Yusei Kikuchi because the Astros obviously have done this now with multiple pitchers, with Garrett Cole, with Wade Miley, lesser pedigree there. Obviously, Charlie F. and Morton. Yeah. So the Astros, I don't think this was necessarily a fluke with Yusei Kikuchi, what we saw over that 9-game stretch to end the season. I think this was something that was always there. He always had great stuff, but unfortunately, because whether it was the wrong pitch mix or something else, he never really was that consistent of a pitcher. But I think the Astros have unlocked a new level for him, so I would definitely bring him back.
Is Yusei Kikuchi coming back on the Brian McDonald list of Astros offseason re-signings?
Yeah,
Is he above Alex Bregman?
See, okay, I'm bringing Alex Bregman back, but I have a limit, which is nothing. That's
Okay.
not earth
Okay.
shattering.
Yeah, so he's not Juan Soto or
No.
I'm not
handing
Shohei
him
Ohtani. Got it.
like a movie that you've never seen. I'm not handing him a blank check. Okay, this is not that sort of situation.
They didn't talk about that in Joker 2.
Wait, have you seen Joker
Yeah,
2?
saw last night.
Okay, was it as bad as the reviews?
No,
Okay,
but it was bad.
Okay, it was bad. All right, let's save
It
that
was
for another
bad.
segment. But I do want to talk about that because I was excited about it, and then I saw the Rotten Tomato score. I was like, okay, it's going to come out in Max in a few months. I'm probably going to wait on this
Yeah,
one.
you might be good on that. Yeah.
It's probably a good idea. Okay, but yeah, I am for bringing Alex Bregman back, but if he wants more than, let's say, 4 years, more than 30 million, so 4 years, 120, I'm out. Anything above,
He's gonna want more than that. So.
yeah, he's going to want more than that. So I'm out on him. We might not have time to get into this conversation fully here. We might have to carry it over, but I'm also not that I'm going to force a trade for take the first offer sent to me, but I'd also be looking to see what the offers are in Fromber and Kyle Tucker to try to rebuild the team, because you're going to have, not only do you have a bad farm system right now, and I know they just won the AAA championship.
Yeah.
But it's
all those bad baseball
it's a
players
lot of
winning games.
It's a lot of 27-year-old prospects that are winning that championship.
What's wrong with 27-year-old prospects?
JP France says hello, who's even older.
I consider myself a 28-year-old prospect.
Like JP France.
Like me and JP France and Rodel Blanco.
But yeah, I think I'm trying to move those guys, see if I can bring back obviously not going to bring back a starter the same level, but a quality starter plus a prospect to start rebuilding the farm system. But we can carry a little bit of this conversation over to the other side of the break. Plus, we'll get into some Houston Texans conversation as well. We're here for about an hour and 50 minutes more here at the Kima Boardwalk until 6 o'clock, a part of Oktoberfest at the Kima Boardwalk. Come out and join us, Sean Mapes, myself, Brian McDonald, Joe George. Along the way, before we get out of here, the bullpen will return in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5 out at the Kemah Boardwalk on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Big
Shrimp, spinach.
Big shrimping.
Well, we are now 16 minutes into the show, and actually that was well done. I can't even criticize you for that. Big
and the
shrimp
music
indeed.
videos on a boat.
It fits.
too.
AJ's nodding his head. He likes it. He was a big fan of that. So if he's in, the kids are in. We got the youth.
I think the song came out when he was born.
Oh my God, it did. It totally did. AJ, how old were you when that song came out?
Big Pimpin'.
Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z.
It's like 02, 03.
He was born in 02.
Yeah.
Damn it. God, we are so old.
Saying.
Well, I'm much older. Sean's still clinging to his 20s for a little while longer. Anyway, out at the Kemah Boardwalk until 6 o'clock. Part of Oktoberfest here at the Kemah Boardwalk. Lots of beer, lots of great food, German food, and live music here today and tomorrow. So come out and join us. And if you want to see us actually live in person, Sean and I and our man AJ out here, part of the promo team, we're on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp.
You probably just want to see AJ.
Yeah, you probably just want to see AJ. Sean and I are considerably less cool. Then I think I'm the lowest, obviously, of that. Once you pass 40, you can't be cool anymore. Anyway, talking Astros, a little bit more on them before we move over to the Houston Texans, because I'd really like to stop talking Astros for a little while. It was a long season of going over the small minutia. But one big thing I think to talk about going into the offseason, because this is where the Astros, I don't expect them to go out and make more Josh Hader type moves, right?
Yeah.
I think if this team doesn't make a big trade, you're not looking at a roster that you would say got dramatically better by the time the season starts next, I guess it'd be late March.
No, the best or the way they improve is going to have to be through small moving the furniture around, but it's not a full remodel.
It feels now the room feels bigger,
yeah,
because you moved the couch to the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah, you added some mirrors, maybe.
It's still not open concept,
but it's not. Yeah, it's still not great. Yeah, it's still not all that impressive. Again, I do think it's a roster that can make the playoffs and maybe win a round or two, but not the inevitable team that they had been since 2017. But I think the big picture, are the big ticket items that the Astros could talk about as far as remaking and reworking the roster would be to consider moving somebody that still has a year's worth of team control left on their contract, that being Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez. If you're willing to move them, and again, like I said before we went to the break, this is not a situation of best offer, I'm taking it, I have to move on from them. I mean, I'm willing to write it out with them if the offers aren't there. But if you can get what you would view as a good value, getting a quality starter plus obviously lower than Framber, lower than Tucker, because otherwise that team wouldn't make the deal. But if you can get a quality starter, someone you don't mind putting on the field, every day, plus a prospect, I think I make the move, because Framber, for very much different reasons. Tucker, you're not going to re-sign because he's going to cost $300 million. And I don't see any way in the world that Jim Crane is going to offer some sort of 10-year, $300 million contract when he's never gone beyond 6. On the other hand, Framber Valdez is getting up there to be, about 32, 33, and he's a starting pitcher. We know the track record of those guys breaking down. You add on to that his recent playoff failings. You add on to that some of his inconsistency. You add on to that his age. And there's no way I'm offering a fair market value 4 or 5 year deal to a guy approaching his mid-30s like Framber. So I'm out on both of them long-term for different reasons. So I'd be looking to move them. What do you think of those ideas, Sean?
I'm not sure. I'm not. The verbiage here really matters.
Okay.
I'm not shopping either of these guys.
So you don't want to seem desperate.
No, and I'm not. You
don't want like to borrow like a fantasy football thing. You don't want to put them on the block
exactly
to broadcast to the world that they're available, because that lowers their value.
Exactly,
but somebody's going to call, and then I have the conversation.
And we're still talking about a team that's looking to compete in 2025, and this is something that the Astros have done with all the guys that have left, is that they leave in free agency because every year they're contending, and so you're never going to make that trade to make yourself worse. Especially to me, Framber Valdez is more of the, I guess, the less touchable of these, because I agree with you that neither should be untouchable, but I think just with Fromber, even with all the inconsistency, even with the postseason performance the last 2 years, it's not like he's a guy who has fallen apart every postseason that he's been in.
It's about, 4 bad starts in a row, though. He had 3 starts
Yeah.
last postseason. His ERA was 9 over those 3 starts. And obviously the start this postseason against the Tigers, not good.
And some of this just goes into you need someone to you just need to make the playoffs. And Framber Valdez is going into a season with Framber Valdez as your number 1 starter, to me, is much more comforting for the regular season. To gain
a safety blanket?
Yes, than coming in with Hunter Brown being your unquestioned number 1 starter.
We've had this conversation, Sean. You're gonna have to come. Where you started
in
off
2026. In 2026, he'll be the number 1.
It sounds like you're getting closer to my side.
I'm not.
Hunter Brown, ace.
I'm just not quite ready for it to be the start of the 2025 season. You're talking about opening day starter Hunter Brown for a team that you still think can win the World Series. That to me is where I land on that. Where I think Kyle Tucker is the more movable of the two, because you probably are going to get a lot more from a Tucker trade than a Fromber trade because of what you laid out.
Sure.
And I think that he is not more replaceable in the way that it's like, oh, there's no difference, but he's more replaceable in that the drop off is going to be less. You can Band-Aid start it for a while until Melton's ready. You could bring back Ben Gamble or Jason Hayward if you need to. We already saw this year with all the outfielders that the Astros had to shuffle through while Tucker was out, that they can survive this.
Yeah, they can. Now, I do think obviously Jacob Melton is a notch above the Ben Gambles of the world. Some of the guys they cycle
those are
through.
More stopgaps.
Yeah, those are stopgaps. Those are the 27-year-old, 28-year-old prospects that we talked about. Where Jacob Melton's a legit top 100, has been for a few years.
Yeah.
Future, you never want to say guaranteed star, but he's thought of as that type of caliber of a prospect. So I feel good. The question is, do you feel comfortable for 2025? Because I feel good about the future of Jacob Melton. I feel good about the future of Bryce Matthews if he comes in and is the eventual replacement for Alex Bregman. But as you said, this team still wants to compete in 2025.
You need to make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it'll be difficult to be able to maybe sell that to some of the leaders of the team, especially Jose Altuve. He's been very vocal and outspoken about the need to bring back Alex Bregman at a level that I never heard him talk about. Carlos Correa. I know he talked about Correa and Springer, some of those guys, but not to the level he's talking about with Alex Bregman.
And this is something where we're talking about just the trade candidates, but this is something where it also matters what you do with the re-signing of Alex Bregman and Yusei Kikuchi. Because if all of these guys are walking, then I don't think you can. I think you're in a position where you can't trade these two guys because now you're in the, oh my God, we still need to be better than the Rangers and Mariners zone.
True. Cam, what is your tolerance to trading a Fromber and a Kyle Tucker? What is your maybe mindset going to the offseason like?
I'm okay with them parting ways with Fromber. I think Kyle Tucker, though, I think that's somebody that you have to re-sign, because I feel like we've kind of seen this team be able to plug and play with pitchers. I know we talked about earlier how they always talk about how they have 6 or 7 starters, 2 get hurt, all this sort of stuff. But they always find ways to at least slide 1 or 2 guys in there that can be good replacements. But Kyle Tucker, for me, that's somebody that's on another level where if he's gone, I don't find a quick replacement for him for years.
I get it. But I'm going to effort to look up the exact numbers so I can actually lay it out here. But you do have Jacob. Your best prospect is an outfielder that would eventually be replacing Kyle Tucker, much like Kyle Tucker eventually replaced George Springer. And we also have to have this is going to be the difficult conversation, but we also have to have the conversation about Kyle Tucker in the postseason, because it ain't been good since the Braves World's. I think John and Lance were talking about. I'm going to try to pull the exact numbers, but I believe it's since Game 6, which would have been the last game of the Braves World Series in 2021. His postseason numbers have been straight garbage.
Sometimes it's just good pitching. You got to tip your cap.
No, he can't. His name does not start with a B. You can't go the Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio. Hey, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux. Just tip your cap.
It is a throwback to Astros
bygone era.
Astros bygone era, because Kyle Tucker. I agree with Cam, where Kyle Tucker is one of the guys where he's a level of player that you just can't be like, oh yeah, let's call someone up and get Kyle Tucker level production out of him in the regular season. In the postseason, you can get some production. Yeah, it's a lot of.
I've looked it up.
It's a lot of under 200 batting average.
I've looked it up. Cam, Cam, are you sitting down right now?
You
the studio?
You might want to get the trash can.
You might want to.
I'm very much standing.
Okay, all right. So I mentioned since Game 6 of the 2021 World Series, Kyle Tucker, that World Series against the Braves, he's played in 33 postseason games since then. So this is not some one series sample size, right? In that time, 33 games, he's hitting 190. Batting average, again, I did not misspeak. He's hitting 190 with an OPS of 637. I mean, that's
bad.
He's got 23 hits, 30 strikeouts also during that time.
Whew. But his hustle is 1,000.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't hustle down the line in Game 2.
Yeah, facts. And I'm not saying he cost them the World Series. Hashtag Presley. Not the World Series, but this last series against the Tigers. But he was on base with the plate with the chance to put a few more runners across the plate. He was
bases loaded.
Yeah, it was 2-1, and he came up with the bases loaded still, and I believe grounded into a season basically a season-ending double play. So, look, like Sean said, I'm not calling up every team in baseball and pressing the issue, trying to move Fromber and Kyle Tucker frantically and then lowering their value because everyone knows you're desperate to do it. But this is a situation where if teams are calling about Kyle Tucker and Fromber, because they all see what we see. They see guys going into the last year of their contract. They see a depleted farm system. They see the reasons why the Astros would make such a move. So if they give you a call and they're willing to offer for Kyle Tucker, let's say a Juan Soto package. Sorry, Kyle Tucker, you're gone. Fromber obviously not going to bring back the Juan Soto package, but they offer you, a quality player that could start at the major league level plus a prospect or two. Fromber Valdez, you're gone. I'm not paying Fromber Valdez past 2025 anyway for a pitcher that's going to be going into his mid-30s. Starting pitchers break down all the time. He's in his mid-30s. He's been inconsistent. His last 4 postseason games have been terrible. I'm not paying Fromber. And Kyle Tucker, we know Jim Crane won't pay because it's going to cost $300 million plus. So it's just a conversation to have because the Astros, I think, are going to have to consider those things if they really want to remake the roster, because I think there's a little bit of, for the first time since 2016, there's a gap for them to make up where there hasn't been previously as far as to the other contenders in baseball. That's
the big thing is that you're in a position where the Astros need to get better. Normally,
we haven't had to say that in a long time.
Yes, normally it is you're taking little chips out of it, little Jenga pieces out of it, and it's not falling over. Now you're at the spot where if it is a Bregman or if it is a Kikuchi or even just a guy gets hurt during a regular season or a guy falls off, either has an off year or it kind of ages out of productivity. Now the Jenga tower is really wobbling.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're out here till 6 at the Kemah Boardwalk on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp as a part of the Oktoberfest going on today and tomorrow out here at the Kemah Boardwalk. Live music, lots of beer, lots of great food. So make sure you come out and party. And if you're here before 6, you can come out and see us again on the back deck of the Bubba Gump Shrimp. Our man AJ's got T-shirts and cups and koozies, all sorts of good stuff to hand out. So come by and say hello if you're out here. But on the other side of the break, when we get back on the bullpen, we're going to get into the Houston Texans and our confidence level going into this big game against the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. That when the bullpen returns on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Cam Smith with the sultry Mike's Hot, bringing
I
us
know.
back from break. Cam, I don't know what you're trying to do here on the air, but vibes I'm feeling. All right, we're out here till 6 at the Kemah Boardwalk as a part of Oktoberfest here for the Kemah Boardwalk. We're on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp, but the whole boardwalk is packed. Lots of live music, beer, great food. There's a cornhole tournament. I found out during the break that Sean Mapes is a master cornhole player.
No, I wouldn't say master.
I mean, you said you're pretty good.
I'm pretty good.
You seem pretty confident in your ability.
Yeah.
Now you're backing down. Now I'm starting to doubt you.
I don't want to disrespect any of the true masters any of the black belt cornholers out there.
You know who I
Why
think is
didn't
probably
Sean
pretty
speak up whenever I said that cornhole was on my top 5 bar games?
Oh, that's a good point, Cam.
I mean, I agreed with you.
I'm
I liked it.
suspecting maybe Sean's a bit of a fraud.
No, I agreed with you. What am I supposed to when you bring up the cornhole as a top 5 bar game? I'm going, yeah, I'm awesome at that. No, I was just like, yeah, it is fun. I like it.
I'd like
want
to throw some
thump
bags
your
with you.
chest.
Yeah, let's do
Well,
it.
drive up here after the show, Cam. It's a short 40-minute drive from the station. Probably a little bit longer traffic. But if you're out in the southeastern part of the city, make sure to come out here to the Kemah Boardwalk. I grew up in Deer Park, so this place is only 15 minutes away from me growing up. So
Second home for you.
We were out here a lot, yeah. Not to age myself, but when we first started coming here, the parking was free, which it is not now, but it's still a great time out here at the Kemah Boardwalk, and well worth the parking to get in here and play some of these games, ride the roller coasters, and have all the great food and listen to the live music, which we heard standing out in front of the aquarium before the show. The band was playing some Bruno Mars, some Michael Jackson. It was
People were enjoying, people were enjoying it.
All right, let's get off of that. Houston Texans, big game tomorrow against the Buffalo Bills. Both teams 3-1. Buffalo Bills coming off an embarrassing loss on the road at the Baltimore Ravens. So, I mean, not the most ideal situation for the Texans facing a team that's going to be angry and needing a win to get that bad taste out of their mouth. But simple question: what's your expectation for this game? How can the Texans beat the Bills tomorrow?
So how they can? I have very little expectations for this game.
I don't know what to make of this team right now. One of my questions was going to be: are they just playing down to their competition because their wins are against bad teams that you don't expect to finish above 500? Whereas the one team that's going to finish above 500 spanked them. So
yeah, I was going to say the problem is they didn't play up.
They didn't play up. They didn't do the up part. Yeah.
But yeah, I as far as what they need to do to win, they need to basically play a much cleaner game. I'm not even asking play a clean game.
Just not 12 penalties in a game. It's 3 games in a row, Sean. They're 10 plus in penalties.
Like can we get it to like seven penalties?
Yes.
But yeah, that's what they need to do. There's just so much shooting themselves in the foot happening with all these games. With every single one of these post games or the Monday press conference, it seems like what D'Amico Ryans is saying is that the Texans beat the Texans, or the Texans are beating the Texans.
He's also said we worked on it. We're cleaning it up, and it's 3 games in a row with double-digit penalties.
I was going to say, he says we're working on it. We're going to get it fixed. And then after the next game, he says we're still beating ourselves.
I want to ask, D'Amico, okay, you're working on it. Did anyone tell Laramie?
Yeah.
Because he still seems not to be getting it.
Or if you're working on it in practice, then maybe that's the problem.
Practice apparently doesn't make perfect, Sean.
Yes, but I think that's the biggest thing. They cannot mess around and have the 12 penalties. They can't have issues in the secondary where you're depending on Anthony Richardson or Trevor Lawrence to overthrow a receiver, because guess who's not going to overthrow that receiver? The guy who's coming to town tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I had that exact same thought that there was a lot of, obviously we talked a lot about it after the first game of the season, where the Texans won in they won over the Colts in part because in a 2-point game, Anthony Richardson overthrew wide open receivers multiple times, including Adonai Mitchell
twice.
Like once I think they just lost him, the corner thinking the safety had over the top coverage and it wasn't there. The other time, Kamari Lassiter got burned on a double move, which He then also got burned in a double move in the Jaguars game. Brian Thomas Jr. got him on a double move, but just like Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence also had multiple times where they had someone deep and he just flat out missed them. So I think when you're looking at this game, the first most obvious thing to talk about is if we might have to go to break right now, Cam. I'm starting to feel some mist. Just be prepared. We got actually, Cam, go ahead and we're going to go ahead and break on the bullpen right now. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Sorry about this, folks. We got a little bit of rain coming down. We got to get the equipment inside. Cam, go to break. We will text you as soon as we're ready to go back on air. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
You're listening to the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back in from that fun emergency break. Live radio. That's the way things go sometimes. Sometimes you're out on the back patio of Bubblegum Shrimp of the Kemah Boardwalk for Oktoberfest, and it starts raining a little bit. And so
it's really the darkest cloud that I can see is the one directly over our head.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit weird. Like I checked the weather map because I'm old. this morning, and it showed 0% chance of rain. But as luck would have it, when you're doing a live radio
Yeah.
show outside, it actually starts to rain.
This morning, I was waiting for weather on the 8s on the Weather Channel. Said the same thing.
Damn you, Sean. I know that's not true. You're just aging me, and I hate you. Anyway, so getting back into the Texans Buffalo Bills conversation, as we're talking about before we went to our emergency break there, it's the things we saw coming out of the Colts game in week 1, like the concerns, like, okay, they won by 2, you won on the road. These things are all great. For the most part, the offense looked pretty good. Great in some aspects, especially the running game. But a lot of the question marks you had about the offensive line and the pass coverage has not really been improved to any notable degree, and arguably hasn't gotten better at all. In some cases, gotten worse, especially with the discipline of the offensive line and all the pre-snap penalties that they've gotten over the last couple games. Again, 10-plus penalties in 3 straight games. So I am a little bit worried. Like, I do think the Texans at home should be favored, should be a team that you can't say expect to win, but can win this game. But as we said right before we went to the break, the passes that Anthony Richardson missed to Adonai Mitchell in week 1, the passes that Trevor Lawrence missed deep to Brian Thomas Jr. in week 4, Josh Allen, if you give him those same shots, and I'm mostly talking about Kamari Lassiter because he's still falling for every double move thrown at him. It's clearly on tape. The other offensive coordinators are clearly seeing it and putting that as a part of their game plan when attacking him. If you make those same mistakes, Josh Allen will be walking back to the sideline because he's just thrown a 70-yard touchdown, and he's got arguably the biggest arm in the league, so he's going to hit it. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but your overall confidence for this game is where, Sean?
I mean, it's hard to have a lot of confidence that the Texans are going to I guess to win or to impose their will on their opponent anyway, because like you said, the only time they've played a good team, they got smoked off the ball from the start. And so there's and we would probably sit here, and if we're to ask who do you take more seriously as a real contender in the NFL and who do you think is going to fall off by the end of the season, we're not picking the Bills. We're going to pick the Vikings. So you have, even though they are coming off a spanking against Baltimore, you are still dealing with a team that I still think is one of the best teams in the league. Definitely one of the best teams in your conference too. And so how the Texans can respond, what the Texans need to do is play better than they have at any point this season.
I feel like a very obvious statement's coming. Yes.
That is all they have to do. It's just play better, but you cannot be confident that they will play better.
Yeah, they haven't shown it.
Because they haven't shown it, and now they're playing the best team on their schedule thus far.
Oh, without a doubt. Now, one place where I am feeling confident, hopefully I could sell some of this confidence to you and have you buy into this, and hopefully the listeners. And if you have some thoughts, give us a text or a call on the HRMP listener line, 713-780-3776. Again, you can also come out and join us here on the Kima Boardwalk on the back patio deck of the Bubba Gump Shrimp Restaurant. But one area where I do have some confidence in this game is the Bills' defense has been really good, but they've struggled to stop the run. We've seen that in multiple games. Derrick Henry ran just, for 200 against them. Now, obviously, Texans don't have Joe Mixon, so that's, it maybe cancels each other out. Mm-hmm. But we also know that they've got a lot of subtractions from their defense that was so good. Von Miller's been suspended. He's not going to play this game. Ed Oliver, Go Cougs, is hurt. He's not going to play this game. Exactly. Go Cougs? Huh? No. But obviously, Matt Milano, thank you. Matt Milano, we already know they lost before the season. They've got other injuries on defense as well. Safeties, corners, basically every level of the defense. So I do feel at home the Texans offense, even despite being down Joe Mixon, getting Tank Dell back, Nico Collins, the best wide receiver in the league right now through 4 weeks. Obviously, Stephon Diggs, revenge game. I think the Texans offense is situated to maybe have their best game of the season. And that's my hope, that the Texans, now you don't have to win a shootout, because I don't have a lot of confidence in the defense right now for all the reasons we just talked about. The secondary play, namely Kamari Lassiter, hasn't improved. Safety play as well. But I think this offense, because of the Bills being down Milano from the start of the season, now being down Von Miller, being down Ed Oliver, go Cougs, I think the Texans offense could eat on Sunday.
They're going to need to, and this is the week that the Texans offense. I think this is the kind of make or break for how we view this Texans offense as far as one of the best offenses in the league. Because so far again,
They have their moments.
They have their moments.
The Colts game, basically the first half of the Colts game, and then when they ran the ball in the second half. In that first half, the Bears game, they were great. And they really haven't seen it. Obviously, then closing the game-winning drive against the Jaguars was great,
but
just been very inconsistent, mostly because of penalties.
But that Jags drive was the drive against the Jags was the only drive in the second half that ended in score. The rest of them ended in punts.
Well, same thing for the second half against the Bears. They scored 3 points against the Bears in the second half.
So they need a complete game from their offense. They need the game that we were all expecting in June and July, when you see the photoshops of the 3 wide receivers together and best wide receiver trio in the league. This is where you need to actually have that passing offense, because I'm really singling out the passing offense because I don't have that much hope for
Cam Akers is the running back.
Yes, until I am viewing this as until Joe Mixon is back, the Texans will not have a good rushing offense.
Probably. Which is a shame, because Joe Mixon would eat tomorrow if he was healthy.
Exactly. And so this is something where maybe you get a little bit better stuff from Akers, from Dare, maybe you get more JJ Taylor. But it's gonna have to be on Tank Dell. It's gonna have to be on Stephon Diggs' revenge game. It's gonna be on Nico Collins to continue what Nico Collins is doing for this team to win, and they're going to have to do it for 4 quarters.
Yeah, they're going to have to win an offensive shootout. I have no doubt about that. All right, let's get to another reason why I'm possibly optimistic going into this game, despite the Texans being very inconsistent this season. And that actually, you might not connect the dots at first. This is audio from James Palmer that we're about to hear, Cam. James Palmer, on his podcast that he does alongside Steve Smith, the Hall of Fame wide receiver, talking about his experience in the Texans locker room after the win against the Jaguars last Sunday.
Else has. I went down to Houston, saw those Texans get back on track, kind of with a win over the winless Jaguars. CJ Stroud has a game-winning drive. I get to the locker room. It's a ghost town. It was the worst winning locker room I have covered in 15 years of the NFL. I mean, my head's on a swivel. I'm like, did they not just have a game-winning drive, score with seconds left, and win this game? And there's nobody to be found. Guys who are in there are not talking. I go up to Stephon Diggs. Hey, man, you want to chat? I'm not talking today. Okay. Laramie Tunsil talked for like 30 seconds. And I'm trying to dig, going like, what? Am I missing something here? And then I kind of got to the bottom of it, making some calls and some texts. This is a team, Steve, that I think everybody had as a Super Bowl contender after CJ Stroud's unbelievable rookie season. Then they just get destroyed by the Vikings 2 weeks ago. Eke out, like I said, a win against the Jaguars. And essentially what I was told was, we cannot keep playing like this if we want to get to the places we believe we can get to. And my thought is something was said post-game by D'Amico Ryans to try to get yourself right, because we have a game against Buffalo. Can you kind of, from a player's perspective, first take us inside this locker room and kind of what's that like when you played on teams that.
So, I mean, at the first part of this clip, again, that is James Palmer and Steve Smith. We didn't get to hear Steve Smith, but James Palmer and Steve Smith.
Sorry, future Hall of Fame.
Yeah, sorry. Is he
future or current Hall of Fame?
I think he's already in the Hall of Fame. If he's not, he will be soon. He should be, at least. Anyway, when I first heard that first part with James Palmer and his kind of shock that the Texans locker room wasn't a Club Astros from 2017, as we used to hear about, I kind of like, does James Palmer not know ball? Because okay, sure, they had a game-winning drive. CJ Stroud was great in getting them to the win in that last drive, but they played like crap. I mean, they played like crap for most of the game. They arguably should have lost. They had over 10 penalties for the third game in a row. The reason they're not upbeat is they know they probably shouldn't have won. And as he finally got to at the end of the clip, we probably know that D'Amico Ryans was on their ass before the media was allowed into the locker room. So that's why the locker room probably wasn't upbeat and hyped up. But that leads me to my next reason why I'm optimistic, is I think maybe this was finally, from what James Palmer described of that locker room, from what D'Amico Ryans likely said to them behind closed doors, which he wouldn't tell us in person.
Yeah.
I think this was maybe the wake-up call they needed. Like, they might have dismissed, like, hey, we didn't play much in the preseason in the Colts game.
Yeah.
Hey, we're still a little rusty in the Bears game in week 2. Hey, it's a fluke against Minnesota. But then against a Jaguars team that was 0-3, who just gotten boat raced by the Bills the week before, a team that you should kill at home and you barely get by, arguably should lose, this might have been the wake-up call, and I'm hopefully that this kind of kicks them into gear finally.
I agree with that. I do expect, or you if you still think of this team as having Super Bowl aspirations, you have to expect they are going to get a cleaner game, a more focused team at NRG Field tomorrow, or at NRG Stadium tomorrow on the field. However, not to be Shawnee Raincloud. Can't you
It
say
hits a little too close home. We just had to move the equipment. Like, it's a little too close to home right now, son.
Can you not say the same thing about the Buffalo Bills last week? Do you think that was a wake-up call for the Buffalo Bills?
But they were 3-0 though. It's a little bit different.
Okay.
And they weren't playing
Okay.
poorly. Like, they crushed Jacksonville. They crushed Miami. They did crush Arizona for the full game, but they controlled that game mostly, especially in the second half. I hear what you're saying because they're coming off an embarrassing loss.
I don't think Sean
was
McDermott said some things to his team.
let's be a little concerned what he said to him. Who knows what he compared that loss to the Ravens?
Yeah,
against,
there's a lot of current events he can pull from.
He might. I don't know what he referenced there. I don't really want to know. But yeah, I don't think it's quite the same for the Bills because they were 3-0 in 2 of those 3 wins. They had absolutely obliterated their opponents. And plus, it's the Ravens. I mean, it's not the same as getting your ass kicked by the Vikings. The Vikings are obviously a very good team.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
Check the records.
It doesn't.
Who's better?
Thank you, Bill Parcells. But it doesn't hit the same way losing to at the Ravens does. So I think if the to kind of go, I thought you were going there for a second. I think if the Texans are still the team we thought they were before the season, they should give us their best effort that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I think that's
kind of what I'm hitting at here.
I think that's even independent of a win, honestly.
Yeah, no, they could give their best effort, still lose because Buffalo's a good team.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of down on their chances, because there's a chance that they play the best game they played all season, and still that isn't enough against this team.
Yeah.
And there's also a chance that they still sleepwalk through these games, hold and false start and illegal formation their way into 3rd and longs. And it's more of the same for the Texans. And we're talking about, well, this week, next week after the game, we're talking about this week against the Patriots. That's the get right game. This is the game that you figure everything out with. There's just so much. The Texans have been making so many errors, and against the Bills, there's so little room for error. And so I just cannot quite get there on the trust level to believe it that you are going to get this team that's going to come in super focused. And maybe this is something I thought about. Maybe some of this does have to do with the Astros postseason.
Oh, okay.
The way that we're viewing...
You got a conspiracy theory? I like it.
Not a conspiracy, just a psychological theory that I have.
Okay, Mindhunter over here. Mindhunter Sean Mapes.
Is that all this week going into the playoffs, we're all super confident in the Astros.
We were.
At the very least, getting past the Tigers.
We mostly look past them, yes.
Look past the Tigers. And what they do, they scored 3 runs in 2 games. And even after they lost game 1, I remember thinking, well, this team of
course you're going to lose to Tarek Skubal. Well, it's fine.
And this is a team that even in all their losses in the postseason, they always come back. Like they're down 0-3 against the Rays, and then they push it to a game 7.
Both World Series they won, they lost game 1.
They lost game 1. All the World Series they lose in 6 or 7. There's always a get off the mat kind of nature with the Astros until against the Tigers they didn't get off of the mat. And so I wonder if there's
that a retirement match. Oh my
I don't know.
God.
I don't know.
Shawn, I was about to make a reference to Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, but it would have gone right over your head. So I'll save that for later. But
I'm
trust me,
sorry.
it was awesome.
Okay, I love that. But I think the collective psyche of the city, of the sports fans in the city, they're not ready to I feel confident in the Texans now, because we felt confident about the Astros 4 days ago.
Yeah, so Cam, let's go to you here before we go to break. What's your confidence level in this game going against the Bills? Do you feel good that you're going to get the best effort, or are you still worried about the things we've seen, like the offensive line and the secondary?
I mean, I still think the offensive line is going to be a little bit of a concern, but I feel like these two teams are in very similar situations where they both have 3 wins against subpar teams. They both got their ass kicked against a really good team. I think with the Bills, this offense doesn't terrify me as much as it did last year. And not to mention, Khalil Shakur is out, and he's been Allen's go-to target. It doesn't seem like he's on the same page with Coleman and Samuel and his tight ends yet. So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the Texans last year, they didn't lose back-to-back games. And if they did, it only happened one time. So
They did the first 2 games of the season.
They started
but not
0-2, but
that.
after that they did.
Yeah, not after that.
Yeah, so I think with it being at home, I think Buffalo dealing with injuries on the offense and defensive end, I think that if Houston, like Sean mentioned earlier, if they can just play a little cleaner, I think that they should be able to take this one.
I feel like we're oversimplifying. I mean, I completely agree with the both of you. Like, you're not wrong, but it feels like we oversimplify things. We did this with the Rockets going into last season. Like, well, if they're just a decent 3-point team, that will be a lot better.
They stopped turning the ball over every time. Yeah,
I mean, it's true. If you only commit 5 penalties, you're going to be better than when you commit 12.
Yeah.
But
those punts turn into points.
But unfortunately, if it was as easy as, snapping your fingers, they would have done it 3 games in a row. But anyway, we got to get to the other side. We got to get to the second hour. We're 1 hour in here at the Kima Boardwalk on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp. Out at the Kima Boardwalk until 6 o'clock as part of their Oktoberfest. Live music, great beer, a cornhole tournament, which Sean Mapes will be entering. Live music as well, both today and tomorrow. So come out and say hi to Sean. Root him on in the cornhole tournament. Hopefully
you're making a lot of promises.
Yeah, I'm making a lot of promises.
I think I'm just
going to told me you're a great cornhole player.
I think I'm just going to have some shrimp and leave. I think that's what I'm going to do. But.
That's the extent of your cornhole career.
Yeah.
Is eating shrimp on the back deck here and then leaving. All right, but either way, when we get back on the other side of the break, we will get into some NFL and college football items. Then one segment after that, we're bringing back the Hype Train. And then 1:30, Mount Rushmore +1. Don't go anywhere. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Sorry, Cam, I was rocking out to a little "Never Gonna Give You Up." We got Rick rolled here out of the Kima Boardwalk. We're out at the Kima Boardwalk for another hour till 6 o'clock as a part of their Oktoberfest. We are on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp, but the party is all over the Kima Boardwalk. Live music, beer, great food, a cornhole tournament that Sean Mapes has guaranteed a victory in. And it's going both today and tomorrow. So make sure you come out and have a good time out here in Kima. When would you not have a good time in Kima? You're out in the water. There's great food, live music. It's a great time. But getting into some NFL and college football conversation here before we get into Hype Train next segment and Mount Rushmore +1 on the bullpen. Sean, Devontae Adams, he's at it again.
Yeah.
And by at it again, I mean he wants out of another town. This time he wants out of Las Vegas, and frankly, do you blame him? I don't. I mean, he decided to go there to play with Derek Carr, and then they gave him Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew and Jimmy Garoppolo.
For most people, 48 hours is enough in Vegas. So
yeah, he's been at 2 years now.
Yeah.
So he wants out. He's played his last game as a Raider. The question is, where does he go next? Obviously, everyone expects him to go to the Jets, although he is posting, because it's 2024, posting pictures of Edgar Allan Poe, quote the Raven nevermore, as I'm wearing a shirt with a Raven on it, actually.
It's a crow.
Oh, gosh, you're right. Damn it, I forgot what's on my shirt. Anyway, it's a bird, it flies, it's all the same, whatever. But he's posting pictures of Edgar Allan Poe on his Instagram, saying basically, I guess, that he wants to go to the Ravens, although a lot of people,
like, what?
I mean, there's an obvious connotation there with Ravens, but everyone obviously expects him to go to the Jets because that's where Aaron Rodgers is at, his former boo there in Green Bay. Where do you expect / want him to go? Both from like well, you can answer from a fantasy perspective. You can answer it from a selfish Texans fan, or just what you expect him to do. How do you see this playing out?
I think it'd be funny if he went to New Orleans.
To reunite with Carr again?
With Derek Carr. He's the only guy.
Chris Olave managers will not like that at all.
He's the only guy who's like, man, I just love playing with Derek Carr. I
can't quit him. I don't know what it is.
This guy.
I know where he's going.
Oh, where is he going, Cam?
Oh, tell us, Cam. You got a breaking news sound here?
Yes, he is going to cross state lines and go to California.
Well, he's going to have to cross state lines regardless. He's in Nevada. They're the only team in Nevada.
He's going to cross short state lines and go to California.
Is this a Chargers
drive
thing?
Across the Sierra Nevadas? No.
It is a Chargers thing.
Oh, my God.
Ohio
Okay,
Desert?
Cam, turn your own microphone off. That's ridiculous. He's not good. Hard Dog and G-Road don't want to throw the ball. They're not going to sign up for another wide receiver.
Can he block?
Can he block? Yeah, Cam, can he block? You can turn your microphone back on now.
They don't want to throw the ball because all they have right now is Laddick McConkry.
Hard Dog and G-Row ain't signing up for Devontae Adams. I don't think he's your type of guy. I don't see it. I don't see it. He's not the tough, smart, dependable swarm type of guy. I don't think.
If you want to win,
he's demanded his way out of two teams now.
So he's not going to the Texans.
No, he's not. He's not a Texans guy.
He's not Texans worthy.
He's not Texans worthy. No, I kind of. I mean, we've talked about the Ravens, the Saints, obviously the Jets. Those are probably the three teams people are bringing up the most.
I don't want them in the AFC. How about that?
I don't want to. Okay, let's start from a Texans perspective.
Yeah.
As a Texans fan, where do you want him to go?
The Saints, because put him in the NFC.
I don't really worry about him going to the Jets, to be honest. I think the Jets' offense is more than a Devontae. They're more than a Devontae away from being fixed.
The Jets sound like a disaster because you don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. So why would you go there for half a year?
Yeah, and they can't block for Rodgers.
Exactly.
Anyway,
doesn't.
So.
I would say
Adams and Wilson together would just be.
I would say if they decide to make the move, if the Jets made the move, that's not a great sign for what they think of Garrett Wilson. It doesn't seem like Rodgers and Garrett Wilson are meshing and vibing all that well.
But you could also say the same thing about the Texans adding Stephon Diggs. Was that tell you what they think about Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Nico Collins?
Nico is that
league leader.
Nico is him. Yeah. Okay. Oh,
there we
see,
go.
I told you. Me and AJ the same. I use the word him. I call it Nico Collins is him, right, AJ? Yeah. Yeah, see, all right.
he didn't want to give it to me.
He didn't want to give it to me, but I'm right. Anyway, so yeah, I think the most obvious answer is NFC from a Texans perspective.
Yeah,
but I don't think I don't think the Jets really hurts the
I
Texans that
think
much.
the Ravens would.
The Ravens would, yes.
I think the Ravens probably become.
I would be disappointed if you went to the Ravens as a Texans fan.
Become.
What about
probably
Buffalo?
Favorites. Yeah.
Although they just got rid of Diggs, do they
Yeah.
want to go through that again?
But they would also if either Buffalo or Baltimore
Can you tell we're on the water?
get Devontae Adams, I think they become favorites in the AFC. Same thing with the Chiefs. We probably need to mention the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to happen.
God.
I don't think it's going to happen.
They just lost Racey Rice. We think for the season, probably.
Yeah, but there's been some weird stuff since then where they haven't said how long he's going to be out.
Well, apparently they're saying they have to wait for the swelling to go down, which is medically could be accurate, but I don't know if they're if they're pulling an Astros and
do they have the
he's
Astros
just got
doctor?
discomfort.
But yeah, I think you don't want him in any of the top part of the AFC.
Yeah,
as a Texans fan.
Chiefs, Bills, Ravens.
Yeah, Chargers.
No, I'm not afraid of the Chargers. Sorry, Cam. I'm not.
I tried, Cam. I tried.
Yeah, no.
I'm cutting
Hard
your
Dog
mic
and G-Ro need to establish it, okay? Now, can they hand the ball off to Devontae Adams? Now I'm
They
in.
sure can.
Now I'm in. I think from a fantasy perspective, I think one place we haven't mentioned that I think could make the call, even though things are going really well for them right now. But what about the Commanders? Terry McLaurin's their one. But I think they could use another wide receiver.
Yeah, they're in on. On Ayuk.
Luke McCaffrey's not the number 2, at least not in his rookie season.
Disrespect Luke McCaffrey like that. It's the best McCaffrey brother in the league right now.
Because the other one's in Germany.
But yeah, they're also in on the Ayuk trade rumors.
Steelers also are in on. They could be in on. Devontae.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about that from a Texans perspective.
I think Commanders would be really interesting. I'm just not sure if that's the kind of move you make right now, but because they don't
too early in Jane and Daniel's career.
Yeah,
you got your mojo going. Why mess with it?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They don't have the need to add. Right? They don't feel like they need to add. So I think right now they're good where they are. But yeah, the Steelers could really use them. I mean, every team in the league could probably use them.
They got to fix quarterback first before they worry about. George Pickens is a pretty good receiver. Yeah. There we go. Wide receiver pass. Let's quickly hit a couple of college football items before we get to the hype train. The Cougs got a win last night.
Yeah.
On the road against TCU. Go
huzzah.
Cougs. Yeah, huzzah. Was it 30-19, I think was the final. But certainly AJ's nodding his head, so I was right on that score. They changed quarterbacks, and all of a sudden the offense was fixed. I was looking at their game-by-game page while that game was going on. If you throw out the Rice game, because, it's Rice.
Hey.
When you and I are not at the helm on College Football 25 for Rice, Rice isn't very good.
Also, don't throw out the Rice. Just put your phone in it if you drop it in water.
Oh, my God. I'm the one that's 41? Oh, my God. The thoughts and jokes of Sean Mapes do not necessarily reflect those of Brian McDonald on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 925. Anyway, if you throw out the Rice game, going into last night, the Cougars have played 4 other games. They were averaging under 5 points per game.
Yes.
Under 5 points per game. How is that possible?
They hadn't scored in
they
Big 12
got shut
play.
out in back-to-back games. Yes,
and they scored 12 against
12
Oklahoma?
and 7 in their other 2 games.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's how you get there. That's how you get there.
19 points in 4 games, other than Rice going into last
and
night.
Then boom, 30.
All they had to do was change quarterback. Who knew?
And play TCU.
TCU.
His defense suspect.
Suspect.
I'll say.
Yes. So. Shout out to Willie Fritz and the Cougs for maybe hitting a corner or turning the corner there. And then last thing before we go to break, A&M I think was rightly favored, but holy crap, they put it on Mizzou today.
They're only favored by 2.5, not 25.5.
Right. You have to look at A&M right now. Obviously, the opening loss to Notre Dame was pretty suspect. They didn't look great against Bowling Green. They haven't been a very impressive team so far, but you beat the number 9 team in the nation at home by 35? Wasn't it 42-7? You have to look at them now. Their two toughest remaining games, LSU and Texas, are both at Kyle Field, and you could probably look at that schedule and say they don't need to win both to get into the college football playoff. You split the LSU and Texas game, you're going to be massively favored in every other game on your schedule, other than maybe a trip to South Carolina. That could be a little tricky.
Yeah, that's
that
the only
could be a little
one.
tricky.
That's the only one.
But if you beat South Carolina, it's split against LSU and Texas, both games at home. You're in the playoff. You have to consider I mean, well, you tell me, but you have to consider the Aggies, in my opinion, a legit college football playoff contender right now.
Well, South Carolina's getting whooped by Ole Miss right now.
Yeah, South Carolina is not.
Ole Miss needed revenge after last week.
But the Aggies, if they go 9-3 and win against Mizzou, they're on the bubble, but they're probably in. It actually, this is the weird situation that Notre Dame fans probably found themselves in today, where Aggie fans will probably need to root for Mizzou as their kind of the win to hang your hat on. They can't get smoked by every good team that they play, because right now Mizzou is fraud. they're giant fraud. Point at them, look at them. They need an overtime.
Who do they barely beat Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah, they need overtime to beat Vandy. They beat Boston College by 6.
Barely. Yeah.
So it's
giant
a situation
frauds.
where you need Mizzou not to completely fall out of the rankings. You need them to
Top
be the
25.
Yeah, because then you're looking at a situation where if you're A&M, you probably need to win one of the LSU or Texas games.
I think they do. I think you got to get to 10 wins to get in.
Yes, and then that way you're
win
more
at
solidly
South Carolina,
in.
split LSU, Texas. I think you're in.
Beating a team that will most likely be ranked, in the case of LSU, will most likely be ranked at the end of the season, as opposed to Mizzou, who,
yeah, that's complete frauds. All right, that'll do it for this segment. We got 3 more to go. Hype Train up next. Mount Rushmore +1 after that. 3 segments to go out here at the Kemah Boardwalk on the back patio of Bubba Gump Shrimp for Oktoberfest here at the Kemah Boardwalk. That's going both today and tomorrow. Live music, lots of great food, cold beer. Come out and have a good time. Watch Sean Mapes dominate the cornhole tournament. More when the bullpen returns on ESPN Radio 95, 92.5, 97.5, and 92.5.
Get it right.
I can't even go to break. It's time for the Hype Train. Sean Mapes, let's go, baby. It's been about a month, but the Hype Train is back. All right, Sean Mapes, first name on this list. Are you buying the hype? Cam, get in on this conversation, too. First name on the list, Darnell Mooney. Mama, there goes that man. 9 for 105 and 2 on Thursday. His third good game this year. Is he an every week start at this point with the frequency the Falcons are passing the ball? Sean Napes.
I think he has to be. I think he has to be at least a flex option.
So you're
going
buying the
forward.
hype?
I am buying the hype. I'm getting on the hype train. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney.
Flex option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that with the way he's playing right now, he's the number one receiver on that team, and I think with the team,
Jake London was pretty damn good on
yeah,
Thursday too.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
But I think the takeaway is they're just not running the ball.
Yeah, they're throwing
as much
it
as
so
we thought
much.
they would with Bijan Robinson. So I mean, obviously, Kirk Cousins, obvious, not going to throw for 500 plus every week.
Huh.
But if he's a guy that's going to be passing, I don't know, 40 times a game, he's not going to pass for over 50 times like he did Thursday. But if he's going to be a guy that throws like 40 times a game, there's room for Darnell Mooney. Because I think we forget because he was sabotaged for so long in Chicago with terrible quarterbacks. I think it was year 2 of his career. He was over 1,100 yards. Yeah. This is a guy that's been a pretty good wide receiver in the past. We all forgot because he's been buried by Chicago. But I think Mooney could be a really good option in fantasy down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so yeah, I'm buying into the hype train as well. Cam, are you buying into the hype?
I will buy into the hype because, like you said, the run game hasn't been there, and Kyle Pitts has been trash. So yeah, buy me a
Kyle
ticket.
Pitts was pretty good last week, pretty good on Thursday. I don't know. I'll say this extra fantasy tip on the Falcons: if you have Kyle Pitts, trade him. What do you have, like 8 catches? I think it was maybe it wasn't 8 catches, but it was way more than he's done all year long.
I was about to say, if you're in a league with Brian, you should offer him Kyle Pitts.
No,
now.
I will decline it. Josh Beard has Kyle Pitts. Josh, if you're listening, I'm not taking that trade. I am fine. I'm fine with having George Kittle and Brock Bowers.
Just send it, just in case.
No, don't send it. I'm not going to take it. Although, no, don't send it. All right. Next up on the list on the hype trade. Tutu Atwell. Sean, 93 and 82 yards in his last 2 games, while obviously no Puka, no Cooper Kupp. Is he the Rams wide receiver right now to own in fantasy?
Yes, he is definitely the Rams wide receiver to own in fantasy right now.
So, hype.
I am hyped on that. Oh, my God. Of that framing of, yes, there's no one else on the Rams that
we know it's not DeMarcus Robinson. He's been trashed.
Yes, Jordan Whittington, still a rookie. We'll see.
Hook him.
But yeah, I think you should probably still own Puka and Cooper Kupp. And
yeah, they'll be back in I think 2 and 4 weeks respectively.
Put him on the IR spot. But if there's another wide receiver to own on the Rams,
it's Tutu Atwell. I'm buying into the hype, Cam. Okay, there it is. All right, Cam, you buying into Tutu Atwell?
I surely am.
All right,
another
one.
Hype.
This one is in your division, Cam. I'm sorry for this. This might be a little hard for you to talk about, but Trey Tucker, 7 for 95 in his last game. 2 games ago he was 7 for 95, and the game before that 5 for 41 over the last 2 weeks. We all probably want to talk about Brock Bowers with Devontae Adams being shipped out of town eventually, but is Trey Tucker someone you're picking up and adding to your bench, maybe looking as a flex play down the stretch, Sean? Are you buying that sort of hype?
No,
flex play Trey Tucker.
No,
Are you buying the hype?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not buying the Trey Tucker hype. I think this is one where I need, and this probably means I won't get him. I need Devontae Adams actually not on this team anymore.
He's not coming back.
Mm-hmm. I just need to actually see him because I believe more in Brock Bowers. I think that's what it comes down to. Much like Tutu Atwell is the pass catcher to own on the Rams, I think Brock Bowers is the pass catcher to own on the Raiders.
In that Raiders passing attack.
Well, with the way. Is it Aiden O'Connell? No, it's Minshew, right?
Gardner Minshew, yes.
Still, yeah.
Gardner Minshew.
The way he's slinging around, I don't think this is exactly a Atlanta Falcons situation where they can house probably 3 or 4 fantasy starters on that offense. I don't think the Rams are quite there. I would want more Bowers than Trey Tucker.
Now, I will say for this week, for sure, I am completely off the hype train, Cam.
Get off my train!
And that's because the Raiders this week are playing the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos have just obliterated every opposing offense they faced. The Jets scored 9 points against them a week or two ago. Patrick Surtain Jr. has shut down everybody he's faced. Including DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, every stud he's faced, he shut him down. And then the week after that, they're facing the Steelers. So it's a little bit of a tough stretch for Trey Tucker. So I would say
if you have the bench spot open, maybe.
If you have the bench spot, after that it gets easier. Rams, Chiefs, Bengals, and then a bye week. I don't know. There's not a lot of great options there. Okay, I'm fully out. Forget the schedule. I'm fully out. Cam, where are you at with Trey Tucker?
All aboard!
I'm on this one, and I know it's weird to sound or say because I hate the Raiders, but 16 targets his last 2 games. Even if he's not efficient, I think he's going to get enough looks to where if he's like a back-end wide receiver 3, I think it's a really good snag.
This might be where I struggle in fantasy, where this guy,
you're slow to buy in.
It's like I don't think this guy is good, but he is just going to get force-fed the ball so much that he's going to
is more important than talent, Sean, in fantasy football.
In radio too.
Najee Harris.
Oh, yeah.
He sucks, but he gets so many carries.
And also in a lot of walks of life, including radio. Opportunities.
It's not about talent; it's about who you know. Yeah, there's a lot of that. All right, we got a couple more here on the hype train. Let's get hype for these. Josh Downs. Now, this is the pendant, and it's looking good for this because Anthony Richardson has been downgraded to doubtful for this week. So it looks like we got elite Joe Flacco in for this week against the Jags. That's right, the Jaguars defense, that terrible defense. Josh Downs, I'll go ahead and spoil this. I am completely in right now on Josh Downs. Hit it, Cam.
All aboard!
Josh Downs last week with Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson out. Anthony Richardson can't hit the broadside of the barn, but Joe Flacco found Josh Downs 8 for 82 and a touchdown last week. And we saw flashes of Josh Downs last year as well after Anthony Richardson went down. I believe it was in week 4, where he had a few games where he was like 6 for 70, 7 for 75. He showed a lot of promise as a rookie, up over 700 yards as a rookie. I'm completely in on Josh Downs. I'm even beyond right now as a flex play. I think he's actually a low-end wide receiver too. Josh Downs hype. Are you in, Sean?
I'm in. I think Josh Downs is a really good player.
Oh my God! Woo!
And with Flacco, it's so funny. Back-to-back years, Flacco is a backup who you don't really
saving the fantasy targets.
Yeah, you don't really think of, and then the fantasy viability of the offense and the real life viability of the offense. Although probably less so with the Colts, but the real life viability of the offense just goes up so much.
It does
when Joe Flacco's
like Michael Pittman's obviously a really good wide receiver. We're talking about Josh Downs, but Michael Pittman's a really good wide receiver. He's been fantasy irrelevant with Anthony Richardson this year. He goes out, boom, Richardson goes out, Flacco in last week, boom, Michael Pittman goes off.
Yeah.
So and it's not a coincidence. Same thing with Josh Downs.
It might be Flacco dependent as far as him being wide receiver 2 and nailed
I would still
starter.
roster Downs regardless, but I won't play him if Anthony Richardson's playing.
Agree.
With Flacco, I'm playing him. Cam, where are you at with Josh Downs?
I'd like to get off now.
Oh,
I mean, it's just I don't trust Colt receivers, and I think with Flacco coming in, I think Pierce is going to start getting more looks like he did that first week. Even though he did rest every week after that, and I think Pittman's going to get more looks too. So if I'm taking a Colts receiver, it's those two before Downs.
Yeah, that is a good point. That there is a lot of mouths to feed. That
Alec Pierce really a mouth to feed?
Well,
He's just like a home run guy.
It's just favorites. You have to be aware of that there could be favorites with different quarterbacks.
I think 8 for 82 with Flacco last week says Josh Downs.
But then when Richardson comes back.
Yeah. Downs is only, to me, a starter when Flacco's playing. So this might be only this week. We'll see. Last one for the hype train this week, Dontavian Wicks, someone that showed brief flashes last year, played pretty well in the playoffs, if memory serves me correct. And he broke out last week, 5 for 78, 2 touchdowns. Could have had another one, but had a brutal drop. We all know Romeo Doubs is pouting. He got suspended for pouting.
I'm off the Doubs.
I'm off the Doubs train. And then Christian Watson is hurt because he's always hurt. So I think Jaden Reed's obviously your one. But are you in on the hype that Dontavian Wicks is the second wide receiver in Green Bay and worth a flex or better play at wide receiver this week?
This is another situation. It's actually the opposite of the situation with Indianapolis, where all these wide receivers on the Packers, when healthy, when not pouting, I'm in on all of them when Jordan Love is playing.
Right.
So I'm on the Dontavian Wicks hype train. And it's really just it is a Jordan Love thing, and all these guys are talented. It seems like this is a situation where there is enough ball to go around for all these guys, kind of like we were talking about with Atlanta. It's a similar situation with the Packers, where yes, you want to be on Jaden Reed, probably number one out of these guys.
He's the number one for sure.
Number two, it might be
I think
Dontavian
it
Wicks.
If
Just because
Dobbs is pouting and Watson can't stay healthy.
it's the Watson health thing. If Watson is healthy, then we can have the discussion. But right now, he's hurt in the real world. We have to deal with the real world here on the hype train.
That's yes. Real world only on the hype train.
Choo choo. Give me some Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, I'm in too. I'm actually starting him
Believe the
in
hype.
that league. I mentioned that I'm in with Josh. I'm starting him this week in my dynasty league. So I'm completely in on Dontavian Wicks. I think he and Jaden Reed both are the types of wide receivers I think are not only capable of the big blowout games. He had 2 touchdowns last week, but we also see that the Packers kind of manufacture touches for them. They, even if they're not, down the field, they're involved a little bit in the run game occasionally. They're involved in the screen game. They're willing to manufacture touches for them. So I'm completely in on Dontavian Wicks right now. Cam, what's your thought on Dontavian Wicks?
I'm also on the train for reasons that y'all both brought up. The fact that Dobbs is out, Watson can't stay healthy, and then they really love creating stuff for Wicks and Reed. So if those are the only 2 targets for Love, then they're going to eat.
Absolutely. All right, 2 segments to go here on the Bullpen, ESPN Radio, 97.5 and 92.5. Man, it was fun to have the hype train back. My voice didn't like it. It's a little. The hype train voice is a little tough.
Might have to be.
And I'm about to cough already just from saying that.
Every
part.
other week, or maybe once a month.
We might have to space it out a little bit. The pipes don't handle it very well. But 2 segments left on the show this week. That means only one thing: Mount Rushmore +1 is on the other side when we return on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Let's see if I can. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your Saturday. It is time for Mount Rushmore Plus One, the first ever Mount Rushmore Plus One, live from the Kemah Boardwalk. We are out here for this segment and one more as a part of the Oktoberfest here at the Kemah Boardwalk going on today and tomorrow. Live music, great food, cold beer, Sean Mates dominating cornhole. And make sure you come out here to the Kemah Boardwalk again, going today and tomorrow. We're on the back deck of Bubba Gum Shrimp. Big thanks and shout out to them for taking care of us, supplying us with water, giving us a nice spot here to set up and do this show. But Sean, we got to entertain Cam also. We got to entertain the city of Houston right now.
Yes.
I mean, look, the Astros have been eliminated. The Texans have been struggling a little bit despite the 3-1 record. I think the city needs a little Mount Rushmore Plus One, a little palate cleanser, if you will.
Now more than ever.
Now more than ever, this city needs
To
us.
heal.
Sean. Yes, yes, exactly. You're vibing with what I'm putting down here. Cam, what is your Mount Rushmore Plus One this week, sir?
So, good sir, mine stems from our recent conversations about you calling me old for the TV shows that I watch.
Oh, okay. For the people listening,
Yeah,
clue
this is all
clue
fair.
people in. What TV shows am I making fun of you about watching that make you old?
Law and Order, SVU, and most
Justified.
recently CSI.
Okay, I'm justified. Thank you.
So I decided to come up with
hold
a
on,
list
let's ask
of
AJ,
TV
resident
shows,
young person.
no matter
Hold
how
on, Cam. Hold on,
recent
Cam.
or
Hold on,
old they
Cam.
are, but ones that I could watch multiple times and never get tired of them. Obviously, I'm not going to watch them every month, but there's something that I could watch back every year. So the first one is going to be The League,
Okay. Yeah.
which is like a
That's one that-
tradition. I watch it every football season.
I'm with
when
you
fantasy
there.
football starts, that's when I watch The League. So it kind of has like some little sentimental
seen-
value there. The next one is
I've
going to be
seen
The
you watch
Office.
League. Yeah, The Office. I think that's
especially
like
the uncut
America's
version.
rewatch. Oh yeah.
Then
The
it's going to be
uncut
King
version.
of the
What are they,
Hill.
dropping F-bombs?
What was that, B-Mac?
Never mind. Keep going. Keep going your list.
So we have The League, The Office, King of the Hill, CSI, and then to end it, anything with Gordon Ramsay.
I mean, Gordon Ramsay. That's not really. It's a TV show technically because it's on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
But are you with me here? It's not really what I would consider like binging a TV show, right?
Okay, fine. Bar Rescue.
Because it's like cooking competitions, it's cooking reality. It's.
Wait, Cam, did you say Bar Rescue?
Yeah, Bar Rescue.
I thought you said Gordon Ramsay.
No,
I did, but I
well,
can see
you
what you're
changed it 'cause
saying.
you're
I got to
giving
like
a hard
pick a
time.
specific show, and I just
Okay,
love seeing
okay.
John Taffer blow up on
Yeah,
people.
and Bar Rescue.
Now he's bringing me back in because I love Bar Rescue.
Yeah, and Bar Rescue is also a natural binge in that Spike TV and I know
Now
it's not,
Paramount.
I know it's not called Spike TV anymore.
Yeah.
We'll play it for 14 straight hours on
Oh,
a
yeah.
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a really good one to binge. It's one that has always been close to my heart. Watching John Taffer rescue bars one bar at a time, and it's something that we'll watch at the station together when we're off the air.
That's true. That is true. All right, Cam, before we move on to my list, hang with me here because we're going to poll resident young person
Okay.
AJ here from our promo
Thumbs
team.
up, thumbs
Thumbs
down.
up, thumbs down. Is CSI an old person show?
You don't have to be nice.
Don't have to be nice.
He's waving the hand and he goes, thumbs
It is.
down.
It is or not? Is it? It's not an old person show. Yeah. Here, come
here,
and talk
come
on the mic. Come and talk on the mic. All right, resident young person AJ from our promo team. Tell the people what you think about. What'd you say about CSI? Is it an old person show or no?
Nah, I'd say it's some young people still watch it. I know I have some friends that still watch CSI.
All right.
so-
Well, damn it. I guess I lose the argument. All right. Score one for Cam Smith. Cam Smith wins. Go sit down, AJ. You're supposed to agree with me, or
No,
at least let me know beforehand so I don't bring you on.
I appreciate his honesty.
Yeah,
that's
I
how. That's
appreciate-
why we value his
yes,
opinion.
resident young person AJ here. All right, my Mount Rushmore plus one. I thought of this morning. I planned on watching, Mizzou A&M for 2.5 hours, but I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm gonna let my daughter watch one of her shows because this game's over.
You waved the white flag.
I waved the white flag, and I ended up watching an hour of Peppa Pig with her.
Ah,
And so my Mount Rushmore
Good.
plus one is Peppa Pig characters I'd most want to have a beer with. So Now I don't really drink beer very often, so substitute whiskey in my case. But you get the
I
gist.
get the idea
get the
of I
gist.
want to drink a beer.
I want to
with
drink a beer with this
this
character from
animated
Peppa
person.
Pig. Yes, yeah.
Animated pig. I'm
For
assuming.
those that not, what's that?
This animated pig. I'm assuming.
Yes, well, the main character is it's a little girl pig who's 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you haven't seen the show, you don't have kids. It's basically it's based around a family of pigs, a mom, a dad, a daughter, and a son.
Okay.
And they're
Traditional.
all the other characters in the world are other animals that are mammals, right? Like all the mammals are like people. But then any other type of animal, like an amphibian, a fish, a lizard, those are like regular animals. Like
so it's a Goofy Pluto situation.
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
All the mammals, like pigs, dogs, horses, those animals act like people and behave like people, live in houses,
Wear
drive cars, wear clothes, drive cars. Yes, 100%. You're dead on. but like ducks, fish, lizards, all those types of animals, like actual normal animals.
That's
So,
interesting. Okay.
anyway, excuse me. The hype train's still killing me. The Peppa Pig characters I'd most want to have a beer with. Number 5, I'm going to work my way from the bottom up here. Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig is a very interesting man. He is known to think he's an expert about everything. Now, most of the time, Daddy Pig is not actually an expert. And that's where the humor and the genius lies, okay? He thinks he's an expert, and then he fails miserably at it.
It's also relatable for a lot of kids.
It is also relatable because he tries to start a lot of house improvement projects and fails miserably at them. So I think there's some common bonding we can have. Plus, he actually plays drums really well, and I played drums, or did when I was younger. So I think there's some commonality there. I think Daddy Pig and I could have some good conversations. Number 4, Madame Gazelle. Madame Gazelle is the kids' kindergarten teacher, for lack of a better term. They don't call her that, but it's called a play group, but it's basically kindergarten. But Madame Gazelle, fun facts that the kids will never pick up on, but is meant for the parents. Madame Gazelle is a vampire. Like legit, they've had in episodes or like Halloween episodes where she's standing in front of a mirror and there's no reflection, and the narrator will make a comment. It's like, isn't that odd that Madame Gazelle doesn't have a reflection? And she'll talk about how seeing kids dressed as vampires reminds her of the old country. Madame Gazelle is a vampire. She's seen things for hundreds of years. I'd like to have a beer and talk with Madame Gazelle. Plus, she's in a rock band, the Rocking Gazelle, Sean, in case you're wondering.
Do they have a Spotify?
They don't, but they
Bandcamp?
they play such bangers as Jumping Up and Down in Muddy Puddles.
Okay.
So I think Madame Gazelle and I could have a lot of fun. Number 3, Daddy Dog. Daddy Dog is a sailor who has had to give up his life as a sea captain regretfully because he's always disappointed when he realizes he has to come home and be a father and realize he promised his son he'd give up the life for the sea.
That's also relatable.
It is very relatable. You were an old sea captain. Now you're coming home to raise
I'm a salty sea dog. What can I
coming
say?
home to raise the Rugrats, you know? So I think Daddy Dog would have lots of great stories to tell me about his life on the sea. 2 more. Grampy Rabbit. Grampy Rabbit.
I'm in.
Grampy Rabbit is the best character on the show. Okay, he's the best character of the show. He's extremely loud. He tries to fix everything, but then it falls apart and he has to be rescued.
Okay.
He lives in a lighthouse. He flies to the moon. He's a very interesting, eclectic character. He loves heavy metal. So anyway, I'm going to Metallica next year. We have a lot in common.
Wow.
Other than I haven't been to the moon or lived in a lighthouse. But Grampy Rabbit is a very over-the-top, entertaining character.
Being called Grampy is
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool. And number 1 on the list of the Peppa Pig characters I'd most want to have a beer with, Miss Rabbit. The joke on Miss Rabbit is that she has every job imaginable on the show. She's a bus driver. She's a store clerk. She drives a rescue helicopter. She does construction. She works in the every job you could possibly imagine this fake little town for the animal characters. She's done it all to the point where the queen honored her with her own day in one special episode. So
you could say that she's a task rabbit, maybe.
You could
say that.
God, I don't know if I like that, Sean.
I mean, that's the joke they're making.
It is. I guess it is the joke. But Miss Rabbit is a very interesting character. She's done every job in the world, so I would definitely have a beer with her.
Hasn't been to the moon though.
No, not like Grampy Rabbit. I could be talked into flipping Grampy Rabbit and Mrs. Rabbit, who is father and daughter. By the way,
I
if you
put
hadn't
that
picked up on that,
I put that
main
together.
event makes main event us.
Since we're on the topic of Peppa Pig, did you know there's a lot of whispers that George is actually autistic?
No. All right, main event Mapes. Go ahead and main
I
event.
also have no knowledge other than
George is a great character, but he's 2, so I couldn't really have a beer with him.
that.
So,
That would be
yeah,
wrong.
that'd be, it's a little
That'd be
complicated.
wrong. Maybe a play date.
Yeah.
My Mount
Apple
Rushmore.
cider. Apple cider.
My Mount Rushmore +1 is in honor or maybe dishonor of the Astros wild card loss, and it's the Mount Rushmore +1 of why we're to blame for the Astros wild
Wait,
card
you
loss.
and I?
ESPN 97.5.
Okay. All right. Share
I mean,
the blame.
I could make a list
It's
of
one
just
of.
us.
Can I guess one of them?
No.
Okay. Damn it. All right.
First up, hand up, accountability here at the bullpen. Me moving in the middle of a playoff series.
It is your fault.
That's my fault.
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry.
Astros haven't won a game while you've been moving.
Yes, things were going so well when I was watching Game 1 in my current or my former house.
Yes.
And
then you had to move
and
during
had to
game
move.
2, and you ruined it.
Yes. So my fault. Number 2, this is one that I think people actually believe. Paul's confidence going into the Tiger series.
Yeah, it was very high.
He was very dismissive of the Tigers.
I think that was mostly. I know he's baseball Paul, but mostly be not having ever watched the Tigers this year.
Yes. It was can't name anyone on the Tigers.
Yes.
Number 3 on the Mount Rushmore +1 of why ESPN 97.5 is to blame for the Astros wild card loss. I mean, I'm sorry I had to do it. L.A. Johnny Granado.
Oh, specifically, all season Johnny Granado would tell us that this was the greatest Astros season of all time.
And just, I mean,
he moved to LA. He betrayed the city.
I've seen photos that I can't tell if they're photoshopped or not of him wearing a Dodger cap and flipping off the camera.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know if that's
we
photoshopped.
Can't confirm. There's no way to know.
He seems like someone who would flip off a camera.
Double rods,
though.
right?
Exactly. So, LA Johnny Granado, sorry, legend.
I have
you
a feeling
share
what's
the
number
blame.
1 at this point.
The Killer Bees post-game shows.
Wait, they already had lost the game.
No. But the universe wanted to get, because the Killer Bees, let's be honest, they thrive off negativity. They thrive off of, oh my God, something's wrong with the Astros. So the universe was giving them something to talk about.
Paul and Joe like to call Joel and Jeremy the Angry Bees. Yes,
and the universe bit to the will of Joel and
they
Jeremy.
have that sort of pull.
They do. Only in this situation, though.
Okay.
Interesting enough.
Very selective. And number
you could also say the fact that of them watching in the bullpen together.
That's true.
And with you and with me for game 1, that also probably wasn't a good mix. Karmically,
we could blame Sam. She was there too.
Let's blame Sam. Actually,
all right, there we go.
Take out Killer Bees post game show.
Sam. All right.
And last and not, but certainly not least, because I wouldn't demean this architectural marvel of Brian's new fence.
I knew that was coming.
The Astros have not won a single postseason game. In the McDonald family, in the new era of fence at the McDonald household.
Yes, for those, because Sean is referencing obviously something very inside right now.
No,
I had
it's outside.
Yeah, well, oh my God, I watched right into that.
Where else did they go?
I had to build a new fence. Actually, it's still in progress because I got sick over the last couple of days. It's almost done. Almost done. I got to put up the picket still.
All right, Papa Pig.
Daddy Pig, thank you. I actually do have a Daddy Pig shirt. Wouldn't wear it to work. But hashtag dad life. It was for her second birthday party. Sue me. But I
will.
You won't get much because I'm in radio. But yeah, no, I definitely was expecting that coming because I had to build a fence because obviously Barrel, that was the name, knocked the old one down. And in the era of the new fence, the Astros have not won a single playoff game.
You're just not focused.
I know. It is on me. I wasn't, my attention was divided, Sean. My attention was not where it needed to be, and the Astros suffered because of it.
And the fence sounds
and the
like
fence too, because it's not finished. Yes, it's not finished. Yeah. Damn it. All right. Man. Yeah. Am I the most to blame, Cam? Is Sean right?
Of course.
There we go.
No love, no respect.
that.
All right, one segment to go here on the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Out here at the Kima Boardwalk for the Oktoberfest. Kima Boardwalk is doing today and tomorrow. Live music, beer, and lots of great food. So come out and have a good time here at the Kima Boardwalk. We're on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp. Plenty of great food here. Thanks to the wait staff for taking care of us. We'll be back with one more segment before we end the show for this week with the worst people in sports this week and what we love from sports this week on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
You're listening to the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. One more segment to go out here on the back deck of Bubba Gump Shrimp, a part of the Kima Boardwalk. And at the Kima Boardwalk today and tomorrow is their Oktoberfest. Lots of great food, cold beer, live music. So make sure you come out and have a good time here at the Kima Boardwalk. We got one more segment, Sean. That means only one thing. It's time for our worst people in sports this week, what we love from sports this week. I'll go ahead and kick it off with my worst person in sports this week. Get the audio ready here, Cam, because the worst person in sports this week is The Miz.
As usual.
And here he is, The Miz, lining up Akam. Oh, what in the world was that? What just happened? And Karrion Kross, the man with the silver tongue, is laughing right in his face.
Silver tongue, Sean.
Poison tongue of Karrion Kross.
He's got a silver tongue.
Perhaps has finally got through to the Miz.
And the Miz is just walking off, leaving his partner behind.
It's just low.
Bush League.
Bush League. If you missed Monday Night Raw, he gets tagged in. He's part of Awesome Truth along with R-Truth. They were tag team champions at WrestleMania. He gets tagged in the match, acts like they're going to kick his opponent, turns around, kicks R-Truth in the face, walks out, leaves them for dead, and of course R-Truth gets pinned by the Authors of Pain. Dastardly.
It dastardly and to R-Truth.
Miz, you're dead to me.
People. Yeah.
All right, Sean, your worst person in sports this week.
Worst person in the sports this week. Male reporters? ?
Uh-oh.
There's some controversy in the NFL with the NFLPA trying to get media outside of locker rooms, to not have the scrum inside the locker rooms. And Torrey Smith, former Ravens wide receiver, took to Twitter to say, if only y'all knew how awkward some of the male reporters act. Straight meat watchers. And Kyle Juszczyk of the 49ers said, maybe we can keep Grant Cohn, and he tagged Grant Cohn.
Wow, he outed him by name.
From always hanging around our lockers while we're changing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Outing people by name.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's saying that the male reporters are
straight meat watchers.
Creepy, huh?
Straight meat watchers.
Creepy.
Is what
all right,
Torrey Smith says.
That's one way to phrase it. All right, Cam, your worst person in sports, sir.
So I do apologize. I don't know this gentleman's name. He was on the network before.
Sounds like you're the worst person
and
in
he
sports.
just went on a crazy ramble about how he still despises the Astros, how they're the most hated team in America, how everybody prays for their demise, that the fans are terrible because they never apologize for the cheating scandal, and the Astros cheated his Yankees out of possibly 2 World Series. And then he goes on to talk about how he was so happy that A.J. Hinch and the Detroit Tigers beat the Astros. And it's just like, are you oblivious to the fact that A.J. Hinch was on the Astros team that cheated?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of obliviousness, too. I mean, Carlos Correa gets cheered when he leaves. Every player gets cheered when he's leaving. If the Yankees sign Alex Bregman, guess what they'll do? They'll cheer him. There's a lot of hypocrisy there. All right. We're done with the anger sharks. There might be anger sharks here in the waters of you know what? No, the waters here at Kima, it's not the anger shark.
Yeah.
It's not filled with anger sharks.
No.
This is the Sea of Tranquility out
This
here
is the Sea of
near the
Tranquility.
Kima boardwalk.
Baby sharks.
So yeah, there might be some baby sharks. Yes. But no anger sharks here at the Kima boardwalk. It's the Sea of Tranquility. And because we're the Sea of Tranquility, Sean, it's time to talk about what we love from sports this week. I loved the last monster standing match, and specifically the national treasure that is Joe Tessitore calling professional wrestling. Hit it, Cam.
Braun Strowman is right for the No! He just took out the front row of fans! No.
They took
Braun Strowman on the top rope!
What the hell are you doing?
Oh, the humility! How in the world? 385 pounds through the air! Just wiped out everyone!
Oh, my.
Oh, the reflex of the fifth man! The whole ring just collapsed! The ring just collapsed! The ropes are gone! The ring has gone down! And both men are laid out! What is there left to destroy now?
Joe Tessitore. Look, he was on the call for Mizzou A&M. Just quit. Look, he's only been calling professional wrestling for about 4 weeks, and he already might be the GOAT. He is amazing at it. I mean, that's just a small example. His call of it is so over the top and dramatic. It fits with wrestling so well. So that is what I love from sports this week. Sean, what'd you love from sports this week?
The college game day signs at the University of California.
Including apparently Cam Ward hates orphans.
Yes, Cam Ward hates orphans. His pronouns are highs and man. Miami Sites Wikipedia is one of them.
Nice.
The Adams Onus Treaty was a mistake.
Yes.
Is a deep cut for the history nerds
For
out
land
there.
acquisition nerds.
Yes. You people are blocking the library. I only do lines of code.
Yeah.
Is one.
Yeah.
Lots
of references to how smart they are and how dumb Miami is.
I thought this was a protest. Was one of them. Really great stuff from the Cal students.
Yeah, apparently they were. I mean, the kid that kicked the Pat McAfee extra point and made it for 100,000 said they got out there like 11:30 the night before.
Yeah,
so
they're out there for a
the
long
Cal
time.
fans were certainly
Cal
definitely pumped up. Cam, you got a quick love from sports this week?
Yeah, mine's real simple. It's the fact that U of H won a football game.
U of H did indeed
Scored
win a football
points
game.
and won a
They
football
scored
game.
points. They scored more than the 5 points per game they're
Yeah.
averaging in non-Rice games. 30 points last night in the win over TCU in Fort Worth. Shout out to the Cougs. That'll do it for the Bullpen this week. We will be out at LaBerge Casino in Lake Charles, Louisiana next week, 10 to noon on Sunday, right before the Texans game. So listen to Sean, Joe, and myself then. Again, come out to the Kima Boardwalk. Today and tomorrow is their Oktoberfest cold beer, live music, lots of great food. So come out and have fun there. For Sean, for Cam, myself, this has been the Bullpen. Have a great weekend, Houston.